The elderly are very important. In fact, I was told to say it in this way. Picture talking to an elderly person and letting them know, the stuff that they were taught as they were a child and that their parents did, and the livelihoods and the tendencies of a person of that era are almost non-existent now. That whole action of doing those specific things is almost non-existent. Now, unlike the typical comparison, I don't really care for using the computer programming comparison as the world we live in, but in a way just to use it to give reference to something that people may make sense of. When nowadays all the technology is so upgraded that the elderly, the stuff that they grew up with is so obsolete that even though the remainder of its memory is there, it's like being deleted off the hard drive. Let's say your computer updates itself and gets rid of the old files, but they're stored in the back thing, and then every once in a while you just empty the trash, okay? Well, in no way at all are the elderly trash. They're actually coming to be the next thing. So every time a child is born, it's resenting the life it had before. If you're not a realized being, you come back to the same cycle, basically leaving as the grandparent or great-grandparent, coming back as the grandchild or child, like maybe not the same family all the time, and most likely not, unless you have some kind of realization during your afterlife, pre-re-life, after this life, in between lifespans, whatever you want to call that period. They call it bardos, but I don't. Some of those things are accurate, but they throw numbers out there, and there are no numbers in time, you know what I mean? But at the same time, we try to throw things out there for belief patterns and belief systems so people can have something to believe in, so that way they can at least follow some kind of structure, even if they get that far. Somebody who did it that way, so therefore that's a belief pattern too, but it's a way to bridge between the real physical world in our view and the real astral world in our view. Like, most people don't even get anywhere near that far, but the bardos are just that. It's just another belief system that goes between the worlds, the dimensions of physical and astral. But it's awesome, but it's just one of the pieces of this awesome, unexplainable galaxy, universe, whatever we call it. It's just words. Those are just words. Like, nothing can measure anything, not even words. Nothing can ever put anything in the words. But when we get to the elderly, see, with people having Alzheimer's and things like that, it's basically like the thoughts that come to us are slowly being changed, even out in the atmosphere. So the atmospheric mind itself is changing. So the people who have a lot of those kind of tendencies that didn't change with the times or become new, they start getting those kind of symptoms and those kind of diseases, or those kind of ailments, we call them, anything that we call them, disease, ailment, it's because their way of life itself, the way of knowing that they had, is deleting. And because so much of that is deleting, they're losing who they are, at least who they thought they were, because that part of them is non-existent, and they were so grasping to that idea of who they were that they don't know how to think anymore, because those thoughts are gone. That's literally what's happening, put into enough words that people could make sense of it. But that's happening. Like, the reason people have those kind of things, Alzheimer's and those, is because their way of life is changing. There's also things with minerals and all these things that we're putting in there, because those are also belief systems, and those are being passed down, and they're coming through the cosmic mind, man. It's so deep on so many levels, so many varieties of everything is happening right now. There's a newborn baby with Alzheimer's, so it doesn't mean it has to be age, but there's just different things of each variety mixing in every age, every shape, every race, all the things we call different words are just the same thing. They're all mixed in with each other. So I hope that makes sense and helps out, because we need to start cherishing the elderly, because they're getting ready to come back as the next generation. And this is where it's crucial. If they know on the way out, they know better on their way in, and then we teach them on both ends. And in the middle, we need to adjust. This is an important speech, and people need to hear it, whether they take it seriously or not. This is love, and this is truth.